Welcome back to ECCA News Broadcast. Today we're going to be talking about Vladimir Lenin.
Vladimir was the architect and leader of the USSR. He held the highest position in the Soviet Union until his death in 1924. Lenin was one of the foremost revolutionary leaders of the 20th century, characterized by his remarkable determination, ruthlessness, and sometimes cruelty. Lenin was more successful as a revolutionary leader than a statesman, and his legacy would contribute to political and ideology diversion that characterized the Soviet leadership in the 1920s. He emerged as a prominent figure in the international revolutionary movement, becoming the leader of the Bolsheviks in the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party. The World War I inspired one of Lenin's most influential works, Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism, was shocked about his communist government that he wanted to form. Lenin was convinced the wars signaled the final decline of the worldwide capitalist economy, and thus was bringing near the socialist revolution. A defensist arguing that Imperial Russia defeat in the war would bring the surest means of bringing about revolution in Russia. In the summer of 1918, the Soviet government, under Lenin's leadership, launched the Red Terror, a brutal campaign that aimed at eliminating political opponents among the civilian population. Lenin dictated what became known as the Testament, in which he expressed regret at the direction the Soviet government had taken, with particular emphasis on its dictatorial manner and its complex bureaucracy. Here's Kay to join us with more on the topic.
Vladimir Lenin's interest in the Russian Revolution stemmed from his brother's execution in 1887 when he plotted to kill Tsar Alexander III. Lenin had a law practice in Petrograd, which is now known as St. Petersburg. In 1895, he tried to recruit the working class to join the Marxist cause. In December 1895, Lenin, along with other Union leaders, were arrested. Lenin was jailed for 1 year and then exiled to Siberia for 3 years in January 1900. He continued his revolutionary activity in Western Europe, where he published his What is to be Done pamphlet in 1902, which claimed that only a disciplined and structured group of professionals could bring socialism to Russia. Lenin, along with other Russian Marxists, created the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party, also known as RSDWP. He later returned to Russia in 1905, and Berlin had hoped that if he returned to Russia, that the Russian war effort during World War I would be undermined, which it was. Lenin returned to Petrograd after being exiled for nearly a decade to take control of the Russian Revolution. In July 1917, he was forced to flee Finland after being accused by government officials of being a German agent. He secretly came back to Petrograd in October, where he later became a virtual dictator of the world's first Marxist state. Him and his government made amends with Germany, distributed land, and nationalized the industry. Now, on to Mariana Koda with Lenin's government strategy.
Upon completing his term of exile in January of 1900s, Lenin left the country and was later joined by Krupskaya in Munich. His first major task was making a newspaper called the Iskra, which translates to the spark. They would hope that this would unify Munich, even though it didn't, since Russian Marxist groups were scattered throughout Russia. In his magisterial development of capitalism in Russia, published legally in 1899, they did a study of Russian economics, where he argued that capitalism was rapidly destroying the peasant commune. In his Imperialism, which was the highest stage of capitalism in 1917, he set out to explain, first, the real causes of war, second, why socialists had abandoned internationalism for patriotism and supported war, finally, third, why revolution alone could bring about just democratic peace.
Now passing it off to Riley Stringer with basic details of after his death and some fun facts.
As mentioned before, Vladimir Lenin was one of the main leaders in the communist regime. He helped Joseph Stalin create the Red Terror, a law enforcement group that was meant to eliminate all opposition in the citizen population. Estimates include deaths of about 100,000 to 200,000, but some historians even go to 1.2 million people died because of this. The main reason that Vladimir Lenin was so involved with the Russian politics is because he wanted to give the freedom of a communist government to the people of Russia. Vladimir Lenin wanted to make the Russian people happy with his communist regime. He believed that it would be good for them to have a structured, head-toral dictator that could help them through all of their tough troubles, which is what was going through Russia right about now. They were in major debt, and after World War I, they needed a figurehead. He advocated for an armed rebellion for the Bolshevik Revolution, of which he held with other farmers and workers. He led a coup d'etat of the Russian regime of the Romanov family. That was the last time the Romanov family was in power in over 500 years. In 1918, he barely missed an assassination attempt. He was shot multiple times and was almost dead, but he struggled through. In 1918, Vladimir Lenin was almost killed. He had an assassination attempt by a farmer right after his failed attempt at speaking in front of the Russian public. He was shot multiple times in the chest, but then he was greatly revived by the doctors around him. His followers considered him larger than life and almost godlike after surviving this assassination attempt. Lenin was influenced by the writings of Karl Marx, one of the most famous communists of all time. He actually had in his possession Das Kapital, which explains the basic communist beliefs that Lenin grasped his foundations upon. A fun fact about Vladimir Lenin is he's being preserved naturally in St. Petersburg right now. I can't say.